Hi everyone, welcome back. In the last episode, we talked about setting boundaries without guilt. But if you struggle with people pleasing, you probably know this self talk. I don't want to upset anyone. I feel guilty saying no. I just want to keep the peace. Sound familiar? If you've ever put other people's needs ahead of your own, avoided conflict at all costs, or felt responsible for how others feel, this episode is for you. By the end of this video, you'll understand why people pleasing damages self esteem and learn 3 powerful steps to break free from it without feeling selfish. Let's get into it. The first step is to consider why you people please. Let's get one thing straight. People pleasing isn't about being nice. It's about fear. It's the fear of disappointing others, causing conflict, or being rejected. So instead of expressing what we really think, feel, or need, we go along with what others want. Where does this come from? For many people, people pleasing starts in childhood. Maybe you learned that being good meant making others happy. Love had to be earned by pleasing parents, teachers, or friends. Conflict or disapproval meant you were in trouble or unsafe. So you adapted. You learnt to be easygoing, agreeable, and self-sacrificing to feel safe and accepted. But here's the problem. People pleasing teaches your brain the lie that my worth comes from making others happy. And that's a dangerous belief because it means your self-esteem depends on how others react to you. The second step is to recognize the cost of people pleasing. Now let's talk about what people pleasing really does to you. Because at first, it might feel good. People like you. There's no conflict. Everything seems smooth. But over time, here's what happens. You feel exhausted from constantly meeting everyone else's needs. You lose your sense of self because you're always adapting to others. You further lose your sense of self because you're dishonest, saying yes when you don't really want to. You become resentful when people expect you to always say yes. You struggle with boundaries because you don't want to disappoint anyone. Also consider that you're disempowering other people by always pleasing them, and you risk enabling them. They might even resent you for it. So ask yourself, what has people pleasing cost me? Where have I ignored my own needs to keep someone else happy? What would my life look like if I stopped saying yes out of guilt? Realizing this is powerful because self-esteem can't grow when you constantly betray yourself. The third step is to shift from people-pleasing to healthy self-priority. Now let's be clear, prioritizing yourself isn't selfish, it's self-respect. You've all heard the safety demonstration on a plane when it comes to oxygen masks. Please fit your own mask before assisting others. The last thing your son, little Timmy, needs is you passing out because you don't have enough oxygen. Now you've both passed out. It's terrible. What a disaster. There's a difference between caring about people and over-functioning for them. Give a man a fish and he eats for a day. Caring means being kind and supportive and even self-sacrificial, but all of that has its limits. You keep giving those fish. This other person needs you to keep giving those fish, otherwise they'll starve. People pleasing means sacrificing your own well-being just to keep others happy. Now you're obliged to give fish, otherwise you'll cause this other person harm. You know how to fish. Don't be selfish. Help them. You don't want to see them starve, do you? Burnout and resentment usually follows. So how do you start shifting out of people pleasing? Try this. Before saying yes to something, pause and ask yourself, am I saying yes because I want to or because I feel guilty? If I say no, will this person actually be okay without me? Will I regret this later? If your yes is coming from guilt, fear, or obligation, that's a sign you need to step back. Instead of immediately agreeing, practice saying things like, "Let me think about it and get back to you. I can't do that right now, but I hope you find support. I'd love to help, but I need to prioritize my own time." The more you practice this, the easier it gets, and the best part? People will adjust. At first, some might push back, especially if they're used to you always saying yes. But healthy relationships, healthy people, will respect your boundaries. And unhealthy ones, well, they'll reveal themselves pretty quickly. Let's try a final reflection. If you can, grab a notebook or think about your answers. Where in your life do you struggle with people pleasing the most? What's one situation where you said yes when you really wanted to say no? What's one small way you can practice prioritizing yourself this week? Now let me know in the comments. What's the hardest part about stopping people pleasing? What's a time when saying no actually made your life better? How do you handle guilt when setting boundaries? What's next, I hear you ask? Is he really going to leave the second part of that famous proverb unfinished? Yes, he is. No fish for you. In the next episode, we'll talk about how to build true self-respect and stop seeking approval from others. Subscribe for the rest of the videos in the series. If you like this one, click on the button to prove it. See you in part 7.